Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. Posting this from a throwaway because my ex fiance's side of the family is on Reddit. For some context, Jason and I met when we were in college. We had an amazing relationship all throughout the 3 years we spent together there. He was in a different course than I was and lived with his classmates while I lived with my best friend. We belonged to the same state, though, just different cities, which, although were really far away from each other, the distance was something we were able to manage even when we were on break. The only thing that happened due to this distance was the fact that it wasn't until our graduation that we really got to meet each other's families. And honestly, I still, to this day, wish I didn't meet his family. You guys can only imagine how amazing it all was between Jason and me before we met his family. The two of us supposedly had the same mindset, aims, thoughts, and goals. I really thought I had made it. I thought after immature, boring high school relationships, I genuinely thought I had met the one that I would soon end up marrying. But of course, 18 years old me, full of high hopes and ambition for the future, who thought everything in life was set and forever, was going to face so many ups and downs, highs and lows, and so many bombshells dropped upon her. It all started from the first ever time I met Lisa, Jason's mom and my soon-to-be mother-in-law. I knew Lisa was one of those uptight, my way or the highway type of person from the get-go. I still remember the day I showed up at their place for a Christmas dinner. It was my first time meeting them, so you all can only imagine the nervousness I had been going through. On top of that, it wasn't just that. I was asked to contribute to the dinner and get a chocolate cake. Now, I didn't find anything odd with that initially. In fact, I found it warm and welcoming that they already saw me as someone close enough that they could just tell me to get something. Oh boy, I was so wrong. Things all went fine up to the moment we sat down for dinner. Hell, even when we all ate, nothing seemed all that weird. It all started the moment the cake that I had gotten was served. I was excited because this was my family's recipe, and every time someone tried it, they were bound to go for seconds. But this time, something completely different happened. It was shocking. Screw getting seconds. His family acted like finishing the first serving was also too difficult. They had a whole lot of complaints, especially Lisa. She quite literally berated me for ruining Christmas over a cake. How none of Jason's exes had done something like that before, yada yada. I still remember that day. Through my tears and not understanding why Jason didn't side with me, I realized that I wasn't going to have a good relationship with my mother-in-law. Needless to say, this was just the beginning and things only worsened from there onwards. Not just between Lisa and me, but also between Jason and me. Jason completely flipped when we were around his family, and I became the barn of everyone's taunts when his behavior didn't align with my words. He flipped from being a loud, open-minded guy at home to becoming a conservative, religious person at his parents' place. It wasn't even like he only did that the few times a year we saw them. The fact that we had moved to his home city at that point, his changing behavior was something that I had to deal with every single week. And as I said, it wasn't just his changing behavior. The mean comments that Lisa made, constantly comparing me to his exes, were all something that I had started to deal with. God only knows how I did it all these years. Well, thankfully, Even though I spent years going through all of this, it didn't take too long for me to get out of this situation. Not as you guys were expecting, though. I didn't get out with my head held up high for my dignity because of all the mean remarks Jason, his family, and Lisa made. It was all because Jason finally gave in. He gave in to all the attempts his mom put him through and cheated on me with one of the same exes his mom would compare me to. The moment I found them together in bed was heart-shattering, but also eye-opening. I knew I didn't have to deal with all this BS. Ever since then, I have been dealing with the separation and making my way out of this city. It really feels like a breath of fresh air, but I know I would have to be here at least for another month or two until I can get my business in order. This is where the issue arises, though. You see, Jason and I were engaged for a year before we broke things off. He proposed to me with an engagement ring that was my family heirloom. The ring is a very beautiful diamond ring and is definitely expensive. It was passed down to me by my mom from my grandma and so on. So it is, needless to say, that when Jason and I broke up, the issue regarding who gets the ring never arose because it was a no-brainer. Well, that no-brainer only applied to me, I guess, because ever since we broke things off, Lisa had been on my back constantly about me repaying her for the ring because it was her who paid for the cleaning of the ring. I was dumbfounded. I hadn't even seen the ring ever since I broke things off with Jason. The fact that this woman had no concern whatsoever of her son being a disgusting prick of a cheat and was only after my money caused a whole lot of arguments between us until I realized this. The ring that Lisa had been asking me to pay for was never with me to begin with. I immediately knew what was up, and thankfully, the security footage of the house that we lived in, which I still had access to, confirmed my suspicions. Lisa had stolen it. I was dumbfounded at the greed this woman had inside her. I mean, what kind of monster would support her cheating son, steal his ex's family heirloom, and go out of her way to make the ex's life miserable for some cash? I had enough. The very next day, after everything that went down, with all the proof that I had gathered, I filed a lawsuit against Lisa, and as you all can probably guess by now, my phone hasn't stopped ringing ever since. Not just with texts from his family, though, but our mutual friends too, which really makes me question my decision. So Reddit, AITA? Here's a small update. There haven't been a lot of revelations since this situation happened, but I have taken a lot of you guys' comments into consideration. Once I articulate what I really want to say and do, I will be reaching out to one of our mutual friends who has been quiet about this situation. I'm not sure if I talked about this in my previous post. We did not tell them about the breakup. At least on my end, I haven't yet. So as you guys were speculating, there is a huge possibility of Jason spreading some sort of rumors, and honestly, with his disgusting attitude, I wouldn't be a tad bit surprised. He has also been begging me up and down to meet so that we can talk about things. I'm thinking about giving it all a shot too. I'm looking forward to seeing where things go ahead, and while I'm at it, I will surely update you guys. Hi all. I met up with Jason today, and although the meeting itself wasn't all that bad, the moment I reached home and decided to reach out to that friend like I was going to, all hell broke loose. Let me first update you guys about the meeting though. We met at a cafe where Jason apologized to me for his mom's behavior. I knew where this was all leading, so I immediately put it to him straight. I informed him that there was no way that I would be taking back the lawsuit, and definitely no way that I would let him drag me across the lane with his words. He stayed quiet for a while before letting me know that he's in huge trouble and was only asking me to reconsider the lawsuit because he was getting fired from his job. Now, I'm not sure if you all know, but the ex that he had been sleeping with was the fiance of one of his higher-ups. He knew, I knew, she knew, and of course the fiance too found out eventually through their carelessness. I told him that him getting fired due to his inability to keep his hands off of other women was none of my concern. I guess he understood that. I was angry and wouldn't be taking any of his shit because he stayed quiet as I left. Then came the part where I reached out to our mutual friend. She was quite relieved that I did because she was unsure of what to do about this whole situation. She informed me that it was indeed Jason spreading rumors about how I had cheated, how I stole the engagement ring, and how I was filing for a lawsuit just because I didn't like Lisa. I honestly saw this all coming, so I didn't find it an inch surprising, and the fact that almost all of Jason's friends knew him from childhood didn't surprise about the fact that they all sided with him. She apologized to me on behalf of all of her friends, and God bless her heart, also promised to clear things out for me. I thanked her profusely before hanging up the call. Currently, I feel confident that things have started to align and eventually they will settle down in place. I'm just ready to give my all for this lawsuit and get my ring back. I will definitely keep you guys updated. Update 3. It's been 2 months since I last updated, and as I had said in my last update, I put my complete focus on the lawsuit and letting things play out by themselves, and I'm happy to say my stay in this city is coming to an end, and that too with a positive outcome. So much so that I just got back home from the small farewell party that the mutual friends, who have become more of my friends ever since they dropped Jason, had planned. We have become so close this past couple of months that I believe I haven't ever felt this close to Jason's family. As for Jason, he has officially lost his job and has moved back with his family because he cannot afford to live by himself. The ex that he slept with dumped him, obviously, and I guess with the job market being the way it is currently, he's struggling to find a new job. Thankfully, Lisa didn't take this opportunity to sell the engagement ring, though, and I received it back due to the fact that Lisa was threatened to be sentenced to jail time if she didn't return it back. Needless to say, receiving the ring back along with the money I got due to the fine she had to pay was satisfying and definitely paid off my airplane tickets to fly back home. I will be leaving this town a couple of days after, and I wish to leave this chapter in my life here itself. I hope to start fresh, with or without a partner, and I hope the next time it's not with someone like Jason. Thank you all so much for your eye-opening comments. NTA, what a prick. Jason was definitely a chameleon, changing colors constantly, and OP deserves so much better than that. Glad she dumped him. NTA, screw the friends and whoever else telling you that you're in the wrong. You take what is yours and definitely consider moving out of this city, OP. I'm 22, female. My cousin, Janice's son, will be celebrating his 2nd birthday. Janice asked me if I would be nice enough to bake a cake for her son as a gift. I refused. I told her that I am going to be busy for the week because I have to finish my thesis and finals is coming up and I have to study. She insisted and I again refused. She then sent dramas on our family group chat saying that she's very stressed, looking for ways to make her son's day special, and she proceeds to tell the family that I refuse to bake a cake for her son even though she's willing to pay. She did not mention anything about paying me. Not that I care, since, like I said, I am busy and will have no time to bake and design a cake for a party. She wanted a 3-tier cake with cocoa melon theme. After a few hours, she made a group chat with me and her mother, and they insisted and begged me to consider. They told me that they will pay for everything, the cost of materials, labor, and even the gas for when I drive to the store to buy everything that I need. I agreed. I was sleep deprived for 3 days to make the cake. Then the birthday came, and the cake was perfect. Everybody loved the cake, but they didn't pay me on the exact day. I gave it a few days for them to reach out to me, but nothing. I tried to call them, no answer. I tried messaging them via our family GC, no response. After a week, I messaged Janice and her mother to send the invoice of everything they need to pay, but again, no response. Now I am not the kind of person to confront them, so I let it go. But for me, this will be the last. After about 4 months, Janice messaged me again asking if I can make a cake for her birthday. I refused. I said they failed to settle the payment for the 3-tier cake that I made for her son's birthday. She got defensive and told me that her mother will pay for it and for her birthday cake. I didn't budge. I said I won't do anything for them anymore. She called me a bitch and told me that the cake should be free since it's not pretty and they didn't like the way it tasted. I told her it's funny that she's still asking me for another cake after she hated the first one. She sent me a long message calling me names and telling me I am an a-hole for not doing it for my family. Her mother messaged me, calling me rude and greedy for not waiting until they settle the payment. I told her to STFU and pay me before I call the police on them. Now our family members from their side are messaging me, calling me an a-hole because I refused to make a cake for her and for not respecting an elder because I told her to STFU. I told them to STFU too and to GTH. I blocked them and I left the group chat. My mother told me that refusing them is justifiable, but I am wrong for saying such things to my relatives. My brother told me I should go to small claims to make them pay, but my grandmother is telling me to let it go because I did not respect them. So, AITA? NTA, these people may be related to you, but they are absolutely taking the piss. They had no intention of paying you for the first cake. They've been rude, insulting, and totally disrespectful towards you. I think your reactions are completely justified. Never do anything for these people again. Not having contact with them would be fine too in this situation. Any case. However, considering their level of entitled AHishness, make a choice regarding your mental well-being and your financial situation. If you have the energy, make sure you get that money. But if you don't, let it go. Don't ever do anything for them again, and if they contact you, always reply with, "You owe me XY." Make sure to pay your debt before contacting me again. Not accepting that you're not able to squeeze it in your dull timetable, getting on your nerves, and lying about paying to convince you, then not paying up for months and trying that same shit again. It will take a lot to get money out of those people. Going NC if possible might be worth forgetting about the money. My 10-year-old nephew lives with me, 30 female, my husband, 32 male, and our kids. A little over 2 years ago, we got CPS involved in his household with my brother and sister-in-law, not his mother. My nephew has epilepsy and a speech issue. His mom died when he was a baby. My brother was in and out of relationships until he met sister-in-law when my nephew was 6. She was a single mom of 2 kids, and from the get-go, they made my nephew's life so much harder than it needed to be. His step-siblings hated him and bullied him relentlessly. There were issues in and out of school, and then when the school went online, during the worst of the pandemic, it got so much worse. My brother and sister-in-law really did nothing. They tried to put the step-siblings in a caretaker position and to look out for my nephew in school and protect him from bullies or people who would try to steal his meds. Many family members brought concerns to my brother, but he really didn't care about the harm to my nephew. In the end, it escalated to the point CPS felt like the safest option. They removed him from the home and placed him with my husband and I. My brother has tried to get him back several times. My nephew doesn't want to go back. They took some steps the court set out for them, but after interviews with my nephew, agreed not to return him. Sister-in-law is now trying to become more involved in my nephew's life by reaching out to me. I know this is an attempt to help my brother regain custody, but she's so awful about it. She has called and texted me to pass messages on to my nephew, even saying that his brother and sister, her kids, miss him. The other day, she sent an email, since I blocked her phone number, saying he should be with his parents and siblings and how she should be told about medical appointments, etc. I responded that she had no business contacting me about my nephew and to leave me alone. They lodged a complaint with the caseworker that I was blocking contact with her, which was dismissed as being fine, seeing as she's not the biological or legal parent, but family members are saying I was wrong because pissing them off could make my nephew's life more difficult. AITA? NTA, you're not making your nephew's life more difficult. Your brother and sister-in-law did that all by themselves. You're making it better. This is clearly evidenced by the fact that your nephew wants to stay with you, and the judge agreed that he stay with you. Keep protecting your nephew. Sounds like you're doing great. NTA, does your nephew receive SSI from his mother who passed and other benefits? My guess is that they only want him back for shady reasons. For parents who could care less about this poor kid, who have been told this child has said he doesn't want to be with his dad, they seem to be really eager to get him back. Also, I'm sure the whole image of a perfect family has to be another reason. You are amazing and you are doing the right thing.